Jayden Daniels showed flashes of brilliance, but it won't matter all that much if the offensive line can't protect him. That and more right now on Locked On Commanders.
You are Locked On Commanders, your daily podcast on the Washington Commanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On Commanders. I am David Harrison, your guy on the ground covering the Washington Commanders for WUSA 9, here with you 5 days a week, sometimes 6, sometimes 7. You can also find me writing about the Commanders for Sports Illustrated's CommanderGameDay.com and find me on Twitter or X at DHarrison82. I want to thank you for making Locked On Commanders your first listen or view. A special thank you goes out to all of the everydayers who come through for every single episode. If you haven't already, please, everybody out there, make sure you are subscribed for free on YouTube or wherever you are listening to today's episode. If it's your first time coming through for the show, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy what you hear enough to come back and visit us again very, very soon. Coming up on today's episode, we will hear from Zach Ertz, interviewed by John Duran of WUSA 9 after practice on Sunday. But first, we got to talk about what went down on the practice field. All of that is coming up on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our third bonus episode of the week. We are churning them out, keeping up with everything going on around the Washington Commanders. And on Saturday, we're going to forget the stats for just a second, because a real story from Saturday's practice was a little bit of a mismatch from the defensive line to the offensive line and the injuries that the Washington Commanders sustained that I don't think are going to be something we need to be seriously concerned about, but certainly at least need to share the information, something that we're going to be keeping an eye on when we come back to practice on Monday. So end of practice, we're going to start all the way fast forward to the very end of practice. One of the last plays, the second to last play actually of practice, wide receiver Deebo Samuel. The team was running a scenario drill, had the ball 3rd and goal down near the goal line. Deebo Samuel ran an inside release slant and appeared to jam his finger when he dropped a pass from Jayden Daniels. Was seen holding his hand afterwards, running off the field, or jogging off the field, I should say, holding his hand. Immediately visited by trainers. Could hear him shout an expletive as he was, getting his finger looked at and all those things. Now, we did see Deebo Samuel after practice, kind of not a conversation, but kind of quick, what's up type of encounter. But he was holding the hand of one of his children with the affected hand. Didn't have any wraps or braces or anything on there. Certainly didn't seem like he was in a rush to get in for any treatment, things like that. So from that very non-thorough, non-medical evaluation of Deebo Samuel, I don't think it's anything to be seriously worried about. Probably just jammed his finger, which we all know really, really sucks. And when you jam your finger on a bullet thrown by Jayden Daniels, probably sucks even more. Also, there was a report from Ben Standig of the Associated Press and also lastmanstandig.substack.com that offensive lineman Brandon Coleman was injured during the practice as well, was seen limping off the field, did not return. Andrew Wiley replaced him. I'll be honest with you, I was much more looking at the defense on this day because this is the final day. Saturday was the final day of the 3-day stretch of practices, and the last third day of 3-day stretch of practices, the defense won those days pretty handedly. So I was really curious to see today if the defense was going to come out here and really kind of put instill their wishes or impose their will on the offense. So my eyes were mostly on the offense during the day. Did keep a little bit of an eye on the right tackle, Josh Connerly Jr., but mostly I was looking at the defense. So I didn't see Brandon Coleman leave the field. I did see Andrew Wiley fill in for him at that position, but I didn't see what happened leading up to Brandon Coleman limping off the field. Didn't see him limping off the field. So we'll have to see what kind of update, if any update, we get on Monday. Again, the teams are not required to divulge injury information during this phase of the preseason. So we got to take what we can kind of get, and basically we'll just see if he's at practice, and if he is, how he's looking, how much he participates. So make sure we come back for that. Now, as far as the defense versus the offense versus defense on this third day of this 3-day stretch of practices, I would say the Washington Commanders offense certainly did better than we've seen them do in the previous third days of the previous 2 stretches of days, if you can follow all that. But I would still say we're going to have to say the defense definitely still won the day. Now, in total, Jayden Daniels, 12 for 21 in 11 on 11 snaps. That's 57.1%, 1 touchdown. No interceptions. There was one pass that was thrown during the practice that was nearly intercepted, and then there was a pass that was intercepted, but not by Jayden Daniels, not thrown by Jayden Daniels. Among those stats, he did have one drop by Deebo Samuel, and we're actually not talking about the drop at the goal line. I kind of forgive him for that one because of the jammed finger. But there was another one that was dropped as well. So that's actually 2 passes that were dropped. There was also one that was a throwaway under pressure. There was also a couple of clocked plays, right? So that 12 for 21, if you want to talk about like what Jayden did, probably looking at more like accuracy on like 15 of 18, right? So like Jayden's accuracy was certainly there. There were definitely some plays. We're standing by some other reporters, and we were just in awe of some of these throws. And we're like, man, like this dude, these are the throws that just remind you, if you forgot for any reason, that Jayden Daniels is truly special. Was ruled down for one practice sack. Andre Jones Jr. Came screaming around the left end of the defense, got into Jayden Daniels for a quote-unquote practice sack. Jayden also tucked it and ran it twice on one scramble, one design keeper, and there were 4 handoffs to running backs during the 11-on-11s on Saturday, the third padded practice of the session this training camp. And I would say probably Jacory Krosky-Merritt's first practice where he didn't just kind of wow everybody. There was one carry by Jacory Krosky-Merritt where he kind of slipped as he was trying to make a cut, and obviously running backs go down. And there was another one where he ended up fumbling the ball, and certainly he's not going to want to do that very, very often. So every player is entitled to a bad practice, especially rookies. You're not going to hold that against them too much. Key standout of the day, Jayden Daniels to Zach Ertz. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about that a lot during the season. And so it just makes sense that we're going to talk about it a good amount here during the preseason. Very clearly, Zach Ertz was his favorite target, connected multiple times over the middle of the field, including a touchdown pass during one of the scenarios that they simulated. Quan Martin, defensive back, continues to make plays this training camp, has multiple touchdown or interceptions this training camp. Had an interception again today during 11-on-11s off of a tipped pass, came off of Ben Sinnott's hand. Look, it was a high off target throw. Ben Sinnott, yeah, he got some fingertips on it, but this isn't one of those things where you're going to call it a drop on Sinnott. Instead, the tip pass goes right into the hands of, well, not right into. Quan Martin had to get down on the ground and dig it out for very impressive interception. So Quan Martin making a play. And then rookie linebacker Kay Medrano, man, he just continues to make plays on a near daily basis. You see him do something, whether it's deflecting a pass, whether it's a run fit, whether it's pursuit. And today blew up a run in the backfield, big tackle for loss that would have come from that one from Brian Robinson Jr. in the backfield. And then later on in the practice, had a really big pass breakup in the scenario set for the defense. Speaking of pressures, the offensive line, obviously Brandon Coleman going out for the injury. That's a little bit concerning, but you don't, obviously Brandon is going to be important to this offensive line. But if, Andrew Wiley's got to fill in there, or Trent Scott, or, somebody else, there's certainly guys that can kind of step up in that position and at least be serviceable. Right. So it's not an emergency situation. Right tackle Josh Connerly Jr. continuing to work on his craft. Right. Look, we talked post-draft. I told all you guys, everydayers who have been with me since the NFL draft, you'll remember this. When I evaluated his tape, what did I say? I feel like he doesn't necessarily have enough anchor. Part of that is just, he's a young guy still building into his body, just needs to get a little bit stronger. But some of it is, I think his base is too narrow. I think he's too narrow in his feet. And I think he plays too far upright, which, gets rid of some of your leverage, and all those things work to kind of degrade your strength at the point of attack. And, on Saturday, it was beaten multiple times. And it wasn't one-on-ones, but it was like pass rush versus pass blocking kind of drills. Usually it was 2 rushers on 2 blockers, things like that. Frankie Louvu hit a bull rush on Connerly, just pushed him right back in the lap of the quarterback with ease. Von Miller on the edge. Andre Jones, that practice sack that he got, came up against Josh Connerly Jr., but keep things in context, right? It's the 8th practice of training camp. It's his 8th NFL practice, outside of OTAs and rookie minicamp, all that stuff. Even with those, it's like his, 15th NFL practice. And he's going up against Frankie Louvu, who is an NFL top 100 player as a pass rusher. Von Miller, who's going to the Hall of Fame. And even Andre Jones Jr. may not be one of those 2 types of guys, but he has NFL experience. He's played actual live NFL games against experienced offensive tackles. So even that deficiency or discrepancy between the experience level between Andre Jones Jr. and Josh Connerly Jr., you have to take those things into account. This coaching staff's working on it. Josh Connerly certainly has made some decent plays, some good plays in camp. Next week against New England Patriots is going to be a big test for him, and we'll just have to keep monitoring how he grows into his role. The good news is Dan Quinn told us on Saturday as well that just like Jayden, just like anybody else on this team, Josh Connerly Jr. is not going to go out there and start until he's ready to start and earns that job above all else. And I know that people are going to sit here and say he's a first-round pick. You need him out there. You're expecting him to start all these other things. And yeah, you can expect whatever you want. But at the end of the day, if Andrew Wiley or somebody else is better at that position than Josh Connerly Jr., I'd rather see the Commanders put the best player on the field than put the highest drafted player on the field. PR and public concern be darned, so to speak. So after seeing the good and the bad on the field, it's clear why veteran leadership is obviously important. Zach Ertz is going to be the glue that helps hold this team together with his connection with Jayden Daniels through any growing pains that any of the players are going to go through. You're going to hear from Zach Ertz coming up next on today's episode of Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or you're just making memories with friends, this one is a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest. Some days on the course, even off of it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. We're just talking about the final 2-minute drill where Jayden Daniels, the offense, drove all the way down the goal line, couldn't get the ball in, drop pass by Deebo Samuel, all those things. That reminds me so much of the game of golf. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. Of course, the grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. And if you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order, cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders, whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36. Get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. You ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Looking at Jayden Daniels' full stat line from practice, the good and the bad, it's the only way to get a true picture of performance. It's the same as your finances. When I started using Monarch Money, I had some good, I had some bad, but at the end of the day, I had a full picture and it gave me a view of what I needed to do to get better. Monarch helped me see that complete picture so I can make my adjustments. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Ultimately, Zach Ertz's praise for Jayden Daniels' leadership is encouraging, but it's the quiet part he didn't say, that the team's success hinges on protecting that leader, that resonates most after watching today's practice.
Zach, you've talked about improving as an individual, as a team during training camp. It can be a grind sometimes, but you've admitted you don't necessarily like to take every vet rest day you get. Like, how much do you enjoy the grind of training camp?
I mean, I love the competition. I love the art of getting better. The best part about sports is that you're never perfect. There's always something to work on. And so even going into my 13th year in this league, I feel like there's things I can improve on, things that I have improved on. Our communication with Jayden and just little things like that right now at this point in my career is fun. And when I stop finding the fun and finding the little things getting better is when I know I'll be done.
Speaking of Jayden, the other day he was speaking very humbly about his progression, and like the thing that stuck out was his leadership, and he's speaking up a lot more. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed him grow as a leader?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the natural progression of a guy that doesn't have to worry. This time last year, he was still competing with Marcus for the starting quarterback job. And so it's the natural progression for him to take the next step. We want to encourage him to continue to lead this thing. And for him to be able to take ownership at this age is just going to set him and us up for success for a long time. And this building up for success for a long time. And I'm really proud of the way he's approached this thing. Still humble, still doing it the right way. So everyone loves playing for him.
I think last year you guys were one of the younger teams in the NFL. Now you're the oldest team in the NFL. There's a lot of free agent vets that are signing here, including yourself this past offseason. Why do people want to come here and play for DQ?
I mean, DQ is a phenomenal coach. I mean, when you have a chance to win, you have a chance to have sustained success. Guys want to be a part of it. Obviously, the age thing to me is irrelevant. I feel like if guys can get open, if they can make plays, Bobby, one of the best linebackers in the league, yeah, he's been doing it for a long time. But to me, football is kind of the only sport that age is looked in a negative light. You got basketball players signing for freaking however much money at 38, 39, baseball signing 10-year deals till they're 40. So it's like football is the only sport it's kind of viewed in a negative light, I would say. But for us, it's just about improving. Bobby has the same way. Vaughn, bringing a guy like him, leading sack leader in the NFL. You see why. They do things the right way. They practice the right way. And so for us, it's just doing everything we can for the team.
Deebo, big addition this offseason. How has he opened things up just in the first couple of weeks of training camp, or a week of training camp? Like, how have you noticed, have things been different, look different with him in the lineup?
I mean, he's just a chess piece. There's so many things he can do well. And it's about finding exactly how Cliff wants to use him, experiment with him in a ton of different ways, and just find ways to get him the ball. Because, yeah, we see him in pads when it's not tackle, but we also know that he's going to ramp it up a notch as we get going, full pads, tackle to the ground. That's when his skill set really comes alive. So he's looked great in the stuff we've asked him to do, but I think he's even going to take another step when it's live.
Big talker, like away from the field, Terry McLaurin, he might still be signing autographs. He's out here every day with fans, even after the trade request. Like, how are things in the building? How are guys? Is it normal? Are guys still talking to him like they normally would?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to say on the matter, honestly. I'm going to stay out of it. Everyone knows how I feel about Terry. Everyone knows how we feel about Terry. I'm going to let him do his thing.
And that's going to do it for today's bonus episode of Locked On Commanders. The next time we're back here, we're going to talk about some stuff that we've seen so far during training camp as we get one more practice ahead of traveling to Boston, Massachusetts for joint practice and a preseason game against the New England Patriots. In the meantime, if you've got questions or comments, you can text them directly to me by becoming a Locked On Commanders insider at joinsubtext.com/LockedOnCommanders. For your second listen, check out Locked On Bets. Betting experts Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers have daily Major League Baseball locks and can't miss football futures. Find Locked On Bets on YouTube or wherever you're listening to today's podcast. To the everydayers, I see you every day. I appreciate you every day. And today I send you a special thank you for once again coming through for another episode. Until next time, stay safe, be kind to one another. We'll talk again real soon right here on Locked On Commanders, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.